and welcome. You have tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma and with me Cheryl D'Souza. And viewers, this is the show where you get answers for all your stock-related queries. In a short while from now, we will open up the floor to get all your stock-related queries answered by our experts. And don't forget that today is Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala Day as well. And in a short while from now, we will connect with Kunal Bothra to understand which interesting topic he has got for us. But before that, let's have a look at what the markets are up to. So Cheryl, the weakness continues in the markets and 19,600 is broken today as well.
Yes, right. Shrishti, a very good morning to you. And you can't see the Friday fever kick on the markets at least because we are pretty subdued in trade today. Right now, actually near the day's lowest point when it comes to the benchmark indices. If you look at the advanced decline ratio, neck-to-neck advanced decline ratio coming in for the markets right now. Talking about the list of gainers, you have Nestle that's ruling the charts today. Remember, Nestle was performing well yesterday, also posted earnings, and today the stock is trading higher by about 1.5%, followed by Kotak Mahindra Bank, IndusInd Bank, that one also seeing good reaction. We had an exclusive conversation with the management of IndusInd Bank, and if you were tuned in, you would have heard a short while ago. The other set of gainers are TCS as well as SBI Life. While on the losing end of the markets, you have ITC, it's reacting to its earnings, 2.5% downtake. HUL is down 1.8%, reacting to earnings as well. You have Power Grid as well, that's declining in trade. JSW Steel, we are awaiting its numbers today, so 1.6% downtake coming for JSW Steel. Tech Mahindra also seeing some sort of a subduedness in trade today. Talking about the sectoral indices then, and what are the sectoral indices doing at this point in time? If you look at small cap index is bucking the trend. It is in the positive territory, at least the BSE small cap index, while the Nifty small cap index is in the negative territory at the day's lowest point. And if you look at the sectoral indices, none of them are gaining in trade today actually, Shrishti. All of them are in the negative territory with FMCG being the top sectoral loser. So that's the way how the markets are looking like. No Friday cheer, below the 19,600 mark at the day's lowest point.
At the day's lowest point, yes. But with this, let's go across to Kunal Bothra. Maybe he can help us find out an answer to the weakness that is continuing in the market. Still, when can we expect that? And onto your screen, you can see identifying support and resistance. And I feel, Kunal, that a lot of our viewers really want to know how to identify support level actually, because 19,800, 700 and today 600 is also broken. So over to you. A very good morning, first of all.
Thank you so much. Very good morning to all of you as well as all the viewers of ET Now. Now, in the most basic technical analysis, we tend to understand that what are the supports and resistances and how do we plot them on the charts. So what I've taken is two examples over here for stocks, and two of them are completely different in terms of the beta nature. So that will give you an hang of how the supports and resistances play out and how do you identify those zones where you try and average, you have a stop loss if you're looking at it at this as a trading position. Now this is the charts of HUL, Hindustan Unilever. And over the last 1 year approximately, look at the range in which the stock has been into a very tight or a confined kind of a range. 2400, 2450 mark apparently for HUL has been acting as a major support. So as you can see, when the stock tries to get into a corrective mode, the correction halts for the stock at a certain price. Then the stock gets into a retest of the rally mode, and then a retest of the previous lows. This is what we call as an establishment of a strong support. By strong support, we mean that the demand for the stock at current levels overpowers the supply for the stock. So at these levels on the higher side, the supply is at a much higher zone, and that's why the stocks, they top out and form a correction. This was the case in HUL at 2750 mark. So as you can see, that 2750 apparently over the last 1 year has been acting as a major resistance. So we try to have target ranges closer to this 2750 mark in case if you're on the long side. And on the support side, this is the zone where we try and get into a strong demand zone. So stock is at 2500 currently, which means that if it drops by another 50-60 points and comes into the zone of 2400 to 2450, we will term this as a good risk reward to buy or enter the stock at those levels. The next chart is a slight high beta stock, but then again it's an indication of how trends shape up when stocks move into resistance and support bands. This is a chart for Tata Motors, and over the last 2 years specifically, when the stocks start to get into a range, as you can see again a very similar kind of a range for Tata Motors, the stock gets into a support zone over here twice, thrice. The stock retests a strong support band, and this is the resistance which is established into the stock prices. Now interestingly, the resistance which was there for Tata Motors in the previous band acts as a support in the next leg of rally. So when a stock gets into a breakout, this is the breakout point for Tata Motors. when a stock gets into a breakout, there is a change of behavior of supports and resistances. So the earlier resistance now acts as a support. So this is a classical example over here. This is the band for Tata Motors, which was acting as a resistance earlier. This becomes a major support for the stock over the last 1 year. As you can see, multiple retests towards this band for Tata Motors closer to this 300, 350 range. And then the stock gets into a breakout, which means on the downside, in case if the correction is very sharp, then we can expect Tata Motors to get into this strong support band, which could be closer to this 450 mark. So this is how we identify supports and resistances. Very, very crucial, very important for traders as well as for investors who are looking to buy on dips and especially on supports.
All right, so that's an interesting topic yet again on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala, that is identifying support and resistances. Thank you so much for us. Thank you so much for that actually, Kunal. And for now, we will slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. When we come back, we will start taking your queries, viewers, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, a show where we get you answers for all of your stock-related queries. Remember, viewers, you can connect to us live on our WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen. Do remember to mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in. If you've already invested in the stock, mention the buy price, the quantity, as well as the time horizon, and that way our experts will be able to help you better. And talking about our experts today, we have Kunal Bothra as well as Avinash Gorakhshekar joining us on the show. Once again, good morning to you, Kunal, and good morning to you, Avinash. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And actually, let's kick start with queries because we have a lot of them actually pouring in already. And this one is coming from Parvinder Singh from Noida. And Kunal, this one is for you. He has Dream Folks, which he's holding from the level of 423, about 40 shares, and also NMDC Steel. 200 shares at a price of around 36 rupees per share. He wants to know what's the target for this, and he's also asked the reason for the downtick that we are witnessing in NMDC Steel. And one of the reasons for that also could be, Parvinder, is the fact that there are news reports quoting Home Minister Amit Shah saying that NMDC Steel plant in Chhattisgarh will not be privatized. This is what has come in news reports. So maybe on back of that, NMDC Steel is a counter that is actually seeing a downtick in today's trading session, and this could be the reason why the stock is seeing a downfall of approximately 13% in trade today. But Kunal, your take on both of these counters? No doubt NMDC Steel is reacting on news flow, and also this was one of the divestment candidates or privatization candidates as well. So what's your target for this one and also for Dream Folks?
So my advice would be to hold Dream Folks at current levels. The stock is forming a base or a bottom at current levels on the short-term charts. At least the pace of selling has ebbed off for Dream Folks. So that could probably maybe in the next couple of months result into some bit of upward tick. Now it's difficult to categorize that how far can the bounce last, but even if you look at a high beta nature of the stock and given the market circumstance where we are, we could be looking at a reasonable target of 520, 525 even from a short-term play for Dream Folks. So maybe that could be a better zone where you may look to reassess. NMDC Steel, I don't track, so I'll probably expect that this correction, which is on the back of the news flow for the stock price, I think could result into a further correction on the downside. So I think if you already have, I would suggest to exit the stock.
Okay, moving on to the next question then. And Avinash, the next question is from John from Chennai, and he's holding two counters and sitting at great profits in both of these. Firstly is Birla Soft. He bought 100 shares at a price of just 66 rupees 3 years back. And he also entered Zensa Tech at the same time, 100 shares of this as well at a price of 155 rupees. And both of these having great gains. But is this a good time to book out profits, or he can continue to stay invested for the long term?
Yeah, good morning, Shishti. I think both these counters, fortunately, in IT companies, he's made a very strong kind of margin of profit. My suggestion is that at least 50% of these profits should be booked out, because I think clearly the IT sector looks to be headed for significant headwinds, at least for the next 2 to 3 quarters. And this we have already seen in the results of most of the larger companies like TCS, HCL Tech. My sense is that in the near term, there is unlikely to be any short-term re-rating for these companies, although long-term fundamentals remain intact. So I think 50% he could book out profits. He could look at some other emerging sectors like private sector or PSU banks, capital goods, or maybe real estate, which possibly could offer him a better risk reward. So 50% he could book out, and the rest he can hold on for the longer term.
All right. The next one that I have is coming in from Saurabh, and what Saurabh is saying that he wants to know a good level to enter Tata Chemicals, Kunal, and also NBCC already has in his portfolio at the levels of 48 rupees per share. One, he wants to know the technical levels for NBCC and also which is the right price to go ahead and buy Tata Chemicals.
So NBCC, if you already have, then I think it could be a time where you may look to start consider to book partial profits at least at 70 to 73 levels. I think the last I had seen. This was also one of the recommendations which I had flagged off even a couple of days back as well as the last month or so. So I would probably be of the belief that it's a good time where you may look to book out part profits. And the second stock which you mentioned was?
That was Tata Chemicals. He wanted to know which is the right price to go ahead and enter this counter.
See, I would suggest that you, as of now, just stay away from the stock price. Keep it under your radar, but don't need to, invest into the stock price. It's been a underperforming stock for the last 1 year. Remained absolutely range bound. Now, many of the other chemical stocks like SRF, Navin Fluorine, etc., many of these stocks have also gone through a downtrend. So it's very difficult to categorize that whether this could be a consolidation which may lead into a breakdown or a breakout. I would prefer that let the stock confirm a breakout on the upside. If you're looking to buy, the stock would be more confident if it breaks past about 1100 levels. That could be a better zone where you may look to buy.
Okay, Avinash, the next query is coming from Jayadevappa from Bangalore, and he wants to know, can he enter Saregama at this point in time? His time horizon is for the next 3 years, although the stock hasn't done much on a YTT basis, but if we see the run-up post-COVID, there has been a significant move. So what's your outlook for the next 3 years investment horizon?
No, I think as far as the next 3 years is concerned, Srishti, I think Saregama definitely should do well, considering that they have a large music data bank. They also now are getting into movie manufacture making, as well as obviously they have been also been very strong on the OTT segment. My sense is that margins in the previous quarter were slightly disappointing. So the markets were quite disappointed. But if you look at the kind of capital structure of the business, this is a debt-free business. The company has got about 1,000 crores of cash on the books, and demand continues to grow steadily. So I think considering that it's a market leader in this space, if the investor has at least 2 years plus kind of view, I think he can definitely even add at the current level. But I think he needs to take a long-term view. In the short term, the stock could remain range bound, but in the longer term, yes, the risk reward could be significant.
All right, Kunal, the next query is for you from Venkat Ramana from Hyderabad, and he wants to know about GMR Airports. He's already purchased 300 shares at an average price of 40 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should add further more into his portfolio, look to exit. What sort of strategy should he adopt when it comes to GMR Airports?
I would suggest to hold on to the stock as of now. It's going through a downtrend. Maybe this downtrend could probably take the stock towards 52.5 levels. I think that could be a better zone to be able to average further. I'm just waiting for a confirmation for the stock to get into an oversold territory in terms of indicators. From there, we can probably be at a much better position that maybe a base is formed for the stock price, and you could probably expect the stock to get into a range and the selling would abate off. So I would believe that as of now hold, but keep 52.5 as a threshold. But then, as I said, just maybe run through a check, whether the stock gets into the oversold territory or not at those levels.
Okay, Avinash, one more query from a long-term investor, and this one is from Tara, and she's holding 200 shares of Colgate Palmolive India from a price of 1,436 rupees. It's been 2 years that she's holding this particular counter. What's the outlook going ahead? Should she stay invested? She's sitting at decent gains in this one.
No, I think if she's held on for a long time, I would suggest if she can hold on for the next 12 to 15 months. I believe that post the good monsoon, rural market demand could possibly give a big spike to Colgate India demands kind of scenario. And more importantly, it's a brand-driven business, a very asset-light kind of business structure. So I think if investor can hold on for the next 12 to 15 months, I expect margin improvement as well as a very strong volume growth pickup in the next couple of years. And I think a lot of new products are also on the table. So that would further kick in the volume growth. So I think it's better to hold on. This is a blue chip, and within its space, it's a market leader. So I would believe that growth would definitely review, but investors should take at least a 12 to 15 month view and continue to hold on.
All right, this one is Poonam, who's writing to us from Punjab, Reddington, 160 shares, 400 shares at a price of 160 rupees per share. Not mentioned exactly what she's trying to look out for this one. But Kunal, what's your take?
Well, I think it's a good quality mid-cap IT name. I think time and again over the last many weeks have been flagging off that the stock has gone through a bit of a news flow on the negative side, which has been impacting the stock from 190.97. That was the high the stock had made towards the current levels of 150 where the stock is trading. Maybe it could drift down another 10-15 rupees from current levels. That could be very much possible given the way the news flow has panned out for the stock price. But I believe eventually the stock could make a resounding comeback maybe in the next 1 to 2 years. So what matters over here is your time frame as well as your risk appetite. If you're looking at this from a longer term play, say in the next 1 to 2 years, then I strongly believe that at current levels as well as on dips of another 10-15 rupees, you should look to accumulate further.
Okay, another query for you, Kunal. This one is on Hero MotoCorp. The stock was seen to be giving a good move just yesterday, and Matthew from Kochi purchased 100 shares around 3,000 rupees level. How does the stock look on the short to medium term chart?
See, it looks attractive on the short to medium term charts, and typically we've seen that whenever stocks give breakout of their previous highs, and if they don't retrace immediately, then we expect the stock to get into a further continuation up move. So I think that's typical for many of the other larger cap names which you've seen historically when the stocks break out of their multi-year, multi-month swing resistances. So I would expect the same for Hero MotoCorp. If you've already bought, and just watch out for another couple of days in case if the stock doesn't go into a sharper correction, then the probability is very much high for the stock to get into a breakout yet again.
Okay, Kunal, just one more query for you. This one is from Kusuma, and she wants to know how does Ashok Leyland look on charts? Any level that you can suggest her to enter with the next 3 to 6 month time horizon?
See, I'm not a fan of the stock, frankly, because I have seen historically, I've done a lot of statistical part for Ashok Leyland, and the stock is just gets into a very low beta to moderate beta range. In best of the times when the auto sector does exceptionally well, the stock gives returns of maybe 30-40%, and at a point where many of the other similar kind of a stock, they rally up into multiples. So that's one of the major reasons why I would avoid Ashok Leyland, unless you are looking out for stability and low to moderate beta. If that's the risk appetite, then you may consider buying the stock at levels of 170, 175 where the stock is trading right now. But as I said, I'm not a fan of the stock looking at the statistical part of how the stock behaves.
All right, the next one is coming from Viral Kumar. He's writing to us from Abu Dhabi. And this one is for you actually, Avinash. 100 shares of Happiest Minds at an average price of 1,053 rupees per share. He wants your advice on the future of the counter. How does Happiest Minds look to you? Because yes, it has corrected from the levels that he had purchased. So he wants to know whether he should average or sell out of it.
I think even if the investor has a 12 to 18 month horizon, I think he should continue to hold on. See, this is a company which is into the digital space. They've got clients like Netflix, Amazon, and I think clearly in terms of the growth trajectory over the next 2 years, they've got a fairly large order book. But in the very near term, there's going to be a lot of volatility in the fintech space. So I think if the investor has a medium term view, roughly about 12 to 18 months, then only he should hold on. I would suggest that if you can even average at the current odd levels and keep a 12 to 18 month view, that would be a good strategy, but only considering the long term view. In the short term, there are unlikely to be any major triggers. As I mentioned earlier, there are some headwinds in the IT space, and therefore the next couple of quarters could be slightly weaker. So one needs to keep that in mind.
Avinash, the next query is on Siemens India. Sridhar from Coimbatore is holding the counters from a price of 3,630 rupees. He wants to know when can he expect getting back into the profits, how are the prospects looking like, and any target price that you have in mind for Siemens. Avinash, this one is for you.
I think my sense is Siemens is an MNC counter, and I think looking at the kind of GDP growth plus the kind of government spending on infrastructure, I would believe that this stock can definitely deliver positive returns, provided one can wait for the next couple of years. The stock is not cheap; it's fairly expensive. But I think looking at the kind of order book and the kind of growth trajectory, especially not only the domestic but in the export markets, Siemens can be a very good risk reward kind of bet, provided the investor can hold on for the next couple of years. So I think in the short term, the stock has already rallied quite significantly. One could not expect a significant risk reward here, but longer term, yes, I think a lot of money can be made. So I would prefer that he should hold on. Any buying should be done only on dips. I think the stock can correct, and if it corrects, then I think one should definitely buy on dips here.
All right, so that's a take coming in on Siemens. But on that note, we'll slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. When we come back, we'll continue taking your query. Viewers, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now, show where we get you answers for all your stock related queries. And to answer the same today, we have Kunal Bothra as well as Avinash Gorakshakar with us on the show. So let's keep it going with your queries then. And the next query that I have is coming for you, Kunal. Stock on which we have talked much, and once again another query on IDFC First Bank. A viewer named Badri is holding 100 shares at a price of 90 rupees. Is that a hold or an exit at this point in time? He can continue holding for the next 6 months.
Well, I think we should continue to hold on to the stock price, stock as of now. Now, I understand that the stock has corrected from 100 levels, 101 to 90, 89, 80, 89, 90 levels where the stock is trading right now. Maybe this correction could extend to another 4 or 5% on the downside. So I'm expecting, say, closer to 85 odd levels with a fresh support for IDFC First Bank. But then this is also because of the overbought nature of indicators on the monthly chart. So that's one of the major reasons why I would believe that the stock is going through a retracement as such. And then once the retracement is completed, I would believe that the stock should resume the uptrend journey. So I would suggest to hold on. Since you bought at levels of 90, you can look to add in case if the stock dips down towards 85, 86 range.
All right, the next one is coming in from a viewer who's not mentioned his name. His name, I believe, is Venkateshwara Rao, and he wants to know about Intellect Design for the longer term. Avinash, he wants to buy the counter, but he wants to know whether it's advisable to buy this counter right now at current price.
Yeah, first of all, Cheryl, Intellect Design is a SaaS company, and I think in all cases, SaaS companies make very good margin from their product revenues. And Intellect largely deals with the financial services, with the banks, with the treasuries, and the insurance companies. They've got large clients in the US market. Overall, I think the first quarter numbers have been quite encouraging. And despite headwinds in the US markets, they've got a very strong pipeline of these product customers who actually have patronized them for a long time. So I think if the investor has a 12 to 18-month time frame horizon, then I think one could definitely look at it. Incremental order business is coming at a slower pace, but existing business is giving them enough fuel for generating a good amount of revenue. So current levels, he could think of buying only if he has a 12 to 15-month kind of time horizon. Very good margins and very good scalability potential. So longer term prospects are good, but yes, in the near term, the stock could remain sideways.
Okay, Kunal, the next query is on Mayur Uniquoters. Parag is holding 100 shares of this counter, but from a price of 569 rupees. He actually wants a short-term view on this particular counter, hence the query to you. He's at a mild loss, so how are the charts looking like?
I think it's an excellent chart. Frankly, for Mayur Uniquoters, the stock has been trading sideways over the last couple of days. But when I look at this on the monthly charts, quarterly charts, it's forming a bullish flag or a pennant combination pattern. Now, that means that the stock has been consolidating for the last 1.5 odd year. I think whenever the breakout happens for the stock price, it could lead into the stock giving multi-month, multi-year uptrend as well. So I think purely in that anticipation, I would suggest that you should hold on to the stock and keep levels. As we pointed out earlier, that supports and resistances. So I think for Mayur Uniquoters, the support is closer to 500 mark or slightly below those levels. So whenever the stock tends to enter into that territory, good time where you may look to average and bring your net cost price lower.
Okay, another one coming your way, Kunal. This one is coming in from Anantha Krishnan from Madurai, and he has 100 shares of TVS Motor at a price of 1,608 rupees per share. What's the short-term prospect for this particular counter?
So it looks attractive. I'm not sure whether from a short-term play, the stock may probably give any kind of a major returns, because I've seen that many of the stocks from the auto pack which have already confirmed breakouts, which have been phenomenal movers, they tend to be a lot more sideways. So the best way to try and enter into these names like Escorts, TVS Motors, etc., which have done exceptionally well, is to wait for that phase of correction. And when these stocks come back to their, say, 20-day moving averages, 50 DMAs, etc., and then look to buy them at those levels. So for TVS Motors, I think that zone could be closer to 1500, 1520 mark. It's almost 100 points away from those levels. So I would suggest to wait out and not be in a rush to enter the stock just because it's been one of the best performing two-wheeler auto pack.
Okay, the next query is from Ramesh from Kochi, Avinash, and he's looking out for a fresh investment in two counters. Firstly is Engineers India, as well as the other one is Man Infra. Can he go ahead and invest in any of these names for the next 12 to 18 months?
I think Manipura seems to be a good bet. I think considering the fact that it's got a significantly good order book, and I think in terms of the EPC as well as the residential, property development business, they've been doing very well. In fact, the order book is at least 18 months odd, and I think looking at that kind of visibility, the company should post a reasonably good profit in the current year. I would believe that even at the current odd levels, if the investor can hold on, he could expect a target price of around 190 to 200 in the very near term. So I think Man Infra would be definitely be better for a short to medium term.
All right, the next one that I have is coming in from Chandra from Mysore. 450 shares of LG Equipment at the price of 480 rupees per share. Kunal, what's the take on this one for the medium term? She's been holding on to this counter for the last 6 months.
You can continue to hold on again as a support. I think 480 is a decent support on the short-term charts for LG Equipment. And on the upside, I think that there are two resistances. So 520, which is the high in the month of September. So that could remain a small minor resistance for the stock price. But if that gets taken out, then you could be looking at the next target of 580 for the stock price.
Okay, Kunal, Gayatri wants to know, is Hindustan Zinc a good buy for short term?
Well, apparently the stock has not been a great performer. I think it's been more range bound given the way many of these high beta metal commodity stocks have behaved in the last few weeks. So I would not suggest a buy on Hindustan Zinc at current levels given the markets we are into. There are better options from the metal or commodities pack. You can either look out for JSW Steel in case if the stock corrects to say 755, 760 range. You can also look out for Tata Steel closer to 120-22 mark. That could be a very good support zone to buy the stock.
All right, that is the take coming in on Tata Steel. But let me just mark the flash on the bottom of the screen. As you can see, RBI governor statements, very, very crucial ones coming in from RBI governor, where he's saying that they will maintain Arjuna's eye on inflation, also highlighting the fact that interest rates will remain high, but unsure for how long. Also the other commentary that is coming in from RBI governor, he's saying that how long the interest rates will remain high, only time will tell. And he's saying, I'm not giving any hint that RBI is going to reduce the interest rates. But yes, commentary coming in from RBI governor, and indeed very crucial one. On that note, we'll slip into a break. We'll be back with more queries on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now, and let's continue taking your queries. This one is coming in from a viewer who wants Tina, that is, she wants an input on sale, or she's saying, sorry Kunal, she's saying that your input on sale was very helpful for her. Now she wants to know if she should make a fresh entry into IRB Infra as well as Lemon Tree, and the window period is about 6 months.
So Lemon Tree could be a good bet at current levels. Lemon Tree is something which I've been highlighting earlier as well. So I think that's a stock which you can consider buying. IRB Infra, even though the charts are very strong, I still believe that the stock may, or rather could see a strong breakout. It's already hit a fresh 52-week high, if I'm not wrong, even a lifetime high levels. But the only catch is with the beta nature of the stock price. And in case if the market gets into any kind of an odd correction, the stock may tend to correct a bit more sharply. So Lemon Tree on one hand is a low beta to moderate beta stock. The stock may be a lot more resilient in case the market corrects. IRB Infra could be a bit more higher. So all you have to do is you can look to buy both of these names, but the position sizing has to be different. For IRB Infra, of course, you can take a slight lower quantity, and for Lemon Tree, you can go with your expected quantity which you're looking to buy.
Okay, Avinash, the next query is coming from Ashish Bhushan from Gurgaon, and he's holding 300 shares of Phenolix Cable from a price of 1,013 rupees, sitting at a loss in this one. How do you see Phenolix Cable, and what's the outlook?
So I think, Shristi, as far as the fundamentals are concerned, this is a company which enjoys a large market share in the cable and wire business, and almost all the companies in this space have shown very strong numbers. My sense is, the stock has corrected because there have been some reports that, there has been some reports about infighting within the family members, and I think the court has restrained, this Deepak Chabria from contending the managing director's position. but I think that got sorted out. So I think this is more to do with sentiment rather than fundamental. So I think if the investor can hold on for the next 6 to 12 months, the best part is commodity prices are ruling soft, order books are running very high. So I think you could see a very strong second half of FY24 also. So I think continue to hold on and don't panic. I think the stock could definitely get re-rated in the coming 6 to 12 months.
All right, with that, let's kick start with the rapid fire then. And Kunal, coming first to you. Naina from Muscat wants to know about HBL Power, 1,000 shares at a price of 29 rupees per share. For how long should she hold on to HBL Power in her portfolio?
Hold on to the stock.
Okay, Kunal, what's your advice on HDFC Bank? Venkatesh Reddy wants to know how the stock looking like for the next 6 months.
Not attractive as such, but buy the stock only above the 1550 mark on closing basis.
All right, Ramco Cements, this particular counter, Mr. Raman wants to know the reason for the up move. Makes sense to actually stay put with this particular counter. Avinash, I believe he already has this in his portfolio. What should he do with Ramco?
I think he should hold on. The reason the stock is up because in southern India for a very long time, cement prices have been increased. So I think that should benefit Ramco.
Kunal, how are the charts looking like for Ratnamani Metals? Edwin from Kerala has been holding shares from a price of 2,700 rupees. Should he stay put with this one?
Illiquid stock, I would suggest to book profits closer to 2,800 levels.
Kunal, Pranjali has Laurus Labs 70 shares at a price of around 450 rupees per share, holding since September 2022. Now wants to know what should she do with the stock given the volatility that the stock keeps witnessing time and again.
Hold as of now, but then maybe closer to 365, 370 is where you should look to average.
Okay, Avinash, by any chance, do you track Indoor Mines? B. Santosh has been holding the shares from a price of 120 rupees. Should he continue to hold on?
I think he should exit.
Kunal, Maruti Suzuki, Anandan has 80 shares at a price of 8,900 rupees per share, making good profits. Wants to know should he book out partial profits or continue to stay put with it? He's a short-term investor.
If you're a short-term investor, then you should look to book profits. If you're long-term, then I would definitely suggest a hold.
Avinash, what's your outlook on Coal India? Krish has been holding shares from a price of 240 rupees. Can he book out profits of 25% of the quantity or continue to hold on for all of them?
I think he can book out 20 to 25% and the rest he can hold on for the next 6 to 12 months.
All right, Philip wants to know about Rajesh Exports, Kunal. 46 shares at 540 rupees per share. What should he do with this counter?
Avoid.
All right, on that note, thank you so much, Avinash, as well as Kunal, for joining us on the show and taking our viewer queries on Rapid Fire. As well as Kunal, thank you for the Buy Now, Sell Now Pathshala as well. And that's with that we come to the end of the queries, but not at the end of the show, isn't it, Srishti?
Well, yes, because speaking at the event of the policy-focused conference, Kautilya Economic Conclave, the finance minister marked the risk that terrorism, war and threats to food security present. Listen in to what she had to say.
3 wars, all happening simultaneously and happening in places from where supply chains are very severely impacted. Source of food grains being impacted, transshipment of goods being impacted. Another factor which as great minds you would want to take on board, which is an obvious and it is the big elephant in the room, and that is the impact of terrorism across the globe. It's no longer an occasional attack, or it's no longer just one region which is repeatedly under the terrorism target. It's anybody, anywhere, single or well organized. And that level of uncertainty and that level of risk which comes into business decision making or investments is going to be a permanent uncertainty and high cost risk.
All right, and on the auspicious occasion of Navaratri, we at ET Now have made sure to make sure your portfolio shines brighter with the top stock recommendations coming in from Sanjeev Basin. And this is the top pick for the day 6. This is what he told me when I interviewed him last. Navaratri, a time of celebration, devotion and new beginnings. But this Navaratri, we are adding a financial twist to the festivities. Each day of this auspicious Navaratri, we are going to make your investment portfolio shine brighter with a special stock pick. With decades of experience, Sanjeev Bhasin has been a guiding light for countless investors, and he is here to unveil his 9 top stock picks, a Navaratri gift of financial wisdom for all of us. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhasin, for joining us on ET Now on the special occasion of Navaratri. All right, it's day 6 of Navaratri and new stock pick coming in from Mr. Bhasin.
Yeah, so today's pick is a dark horse, and maybe a lot of people have lost money in this stock. But I am sticking my neck out that we cannot have a 2.5 play on telecom. That is Reliance and Bharti on one side and half of Idea. Idea is now stopped losing market share. It is going to gain as far as ARPUs go, as rates rise. Plus, there is a relook on their debt with AGR and other things being considered by the Supreme Court, which sum of part means that you cannot have a 55,000 crore market cap on a company which is the third largest in the country. I can bet that Idea can be a very good takeover target, or there could be a strategic buyout. I think Idea is going to go to 22 to 25. So take a small punt. I think Idea can be a very, very big wealth creator if my call is correct. So 22 to 25 on Idea, betting on a doubling in the next 1 year.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bhasin, for joining us today on ET Now and sharing your top pick for Navaratri with all of our viewers. And remember, viewers, 9 days, 9 gems, courtesies Mr. Sanjeev Bhasin. You cannot afford to miss this. Alright, and with that we come to the end of this week's edition also of Buy Now, Sell Now. It's a goodbye from Shrishti, myself, our producer Abhishek, as well as our director Santosh. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.